Welcome, everybody, to Fun Formation After Dark. I am Chris Vannini. He is David Ubben. That was a pretty crazy day in college football. It's not quite done yet. Georgia and Texas are just about done. There's 2 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
We were gonna go when Texas Georgia ends, but that game is over, so we figured we would get it.
It's
out.
been over for about half an hour, Chris. I got to tell you.
It's been over. It's been over for a while. Kirby Smart almost got hit in the head with a throw. Arch got crunched. Not looking good for Texas. What a day, man. We only have two of these left. Two full college football Saturdays left. And I thought about that coming into the day. I was like, I got to make sure I just take everything and I enjoy it. I've got my YouTube TV multi-view back. That finally got done late Friday night. So that set things up. David, how are you doing?
You know, Chris, how ESPN used to name the Saturdays? Generally, it was like before the week. But today felt like we got two options. We either got Absconsion Saturday or Sidestep Saturday because a lot of folks were in a lot of trouble today and just kind of stepped aside. Some more dramatically than others. Obviously, Texas A&M at the top of that list. Ole Miss probably should have lost. They were messing around big time. Florida just not scoring in the second half. That was an interesting choice. So it has been quite a day. But Chris, also back again, not a sponsor, but we got to start After Dark the only way I know how with Polar Cranberry Lime. Please sponsor the show, Polar.
I still have some Polar in our fridge from my wife's friend who came over a couple of weeks ago.
Cranberry Lime is the best one. It doesn't get any better.
I just got regular old water here. Welcome to the show, people. If you're listening live on Twitter or YouTube, thank you. Please subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, like the video, give us a 5-star rating. We actually haven't gotten a 5-star rating in like a week or so. We don't have any new ones to get to when we get to the normal show. We will have our normal show, the review show, on Monday. So this is just After Dark, when we like to just kind of hang and react to the day. Please leave comments in the comments section. We will get to those. Congratulations to Sam Callan. Go Dogs. Your Georgia Bulldogs. Big day for you guys. Not only did you whip Georgia, but Alabama lost, which means you are moving up. And if Texas A&M had not completed that insane comeback, Georgia would have clinched a spot in the SEC championship. We will get to that. Overall, fun day.
Yeah. By the way, we got a downpour in San Diego, the one of the 5 days a year that happens. So it's gut check time in Snapdragon Stadium.
We got Boise and San Diego 0-0. BYU's up 10-0 on TCU. We'll be monitoring those games as things go forward. Wanted to shout out listener Kristen Miller. We'll do this again on Monday, but Kristen Miller tweets at us in the middle of the games. She says, I think I just heard the Bunch Formation song in a commercial. So I was like, what was it? She said it was Rush Hour Tees on ESPN. So I pulled up the YouTube TV because I've got ESPN on my YouTube TV now again. Went back to it, and yeah, Rush Hour Tees using the same bit of royalty-free music that I found when we made this show in their commercial. So
I feel like we got to buy some Rush Hour Tees now.
I feel like they need to sponsor the show or something. Yeah. I think they stole our music. So that was nuts. All right. Real quick. We'll get real quick. Nick Flynn, 8537 here. Would it be better for Arch to declare for the draft or explore the portal rather than spend another year under Sark at Texas? No.
I mean, Sark's got a pretty decent history with quarterbacks. I think last year Quinn was hurt, and Quinn was also Quinn. I mean, I think it's just fair to say, like, Arch is just not that good right now. And maybe he progresses. Maybe he makes the Burrow leap. I'm sure he'll get better in year 2 as a starter. But it's okay. There's nowhere to blame. It's just like Arch is just not that good. He's a serviceable SEC starter right now, sort of, who struggles on the road. Looks like the game's a little fast for him. He looks like a first-year starter. Like, I know people want to believe that, like, oh, we've been bamboozled into thinking he was like the greatest player ever, and all this stuff. I don't think it's that much more complicated than he's just not that good. He's very famous.
Yeah.
But he's just not that great of a player.
I mean,
and that's fine. He could be. He's going to be better next year, I'm sure.
he is in the third year of playing college football. So this is not like the Bryce Underwood situation.
Yeah, it's different when you're like the guy. It's just totally different. Practice reps, the whole off season, all that stuff. Like, Arch is probably not going to be a number one pick Heisman sort of guy, but he's still a pretty good player who's probably going to have something of a future. So
yeah. All right. We got a lot of games to get to. Texas
Yeah.
A&M makes a ridiculous comeback. Oklahoma wins at Alabama. Navy shakes up the G5 race. Lane Kiffin holds off Florida. Michigan holds on against Northwestern. Notre Dame rolls. Maybe we can talk some top 10, some Heisman as well.
USC rallies.
USC
stays
rallies. Stays alive. Let's start in College Station, Texas, where the Texas A&M Aggies found them number 3 Texas A&M undefeated Aggies found themselves down 30-3 at halftime.
Yeah.
They come back to win 31-30. They nearly made up the whole deficit in the third quarter alone. Then they nearly blew the game at the end, fumbling near the goal line. A state trooper was ejected.
Careful in those tunnels, kids.
Mike Elko's got a contract extension. So much happened here. David, where do you want to start with this game?
I mean, I think this was one of those days where you can't blame A&M fans for kind of just waiting for the other shoe to drop. There's been pretty much nothing but pain for a long time for the Aggies. I mean, you look at 2020 was a good season, but ultimately, like, what did they really accomplish? 2012, you win the Heisman, you go on this crazy ride with Johnny. 2013, kind of disappointed. The encore, they ended that, in like the Belk Bowl or something against Duke.
Yep.
And then 98, like, it's an upset. You win a conference title, but like they weren't that great of a team. It's been a while since we've had like a wagon A&M team. That
1992. 1992. Yep.
The 2020 team was probably up there, but that team also got punked by Alabama in week 2, and nobody paid attention to them. They just never lost again. So, this was a game where just like the A&M's worst fears come to life. This sort of spunky South Carolina team that's obviously talented, but it's been really disappointing that nobody really respects this year is running you off your home field. And it's the day, an hour earlier, the extension leaks. And so I think it's been disorienting for A&M people, the A&M people that I know at least, to have their worst nightmare play out in front of them and then end the day victorious. It's a little bit of a whiplash. And I think there's like an element of like, did that really just happen?
Like, you're thinking like, what if they get run off the field here? And then what if Texas runs them off the field in 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is the playoff really locked up? Like, that's what you're thinking at that time. That first half, Marcel Reed couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He's throwing horrible interceptions. You have a touchdown that's dropped. You have a 26-yard field goal that you miss. Like, everything was going wrong. And then immediately everything went right. They scored a touchdown, I think, on the next like 4 drives to start the second half. Marcel Reed made some great plays, a lot of yards after catch. And like, even when A&M was still down like 13, you were like,
kind of felt like, uh-oh.
I think they're gonna. Yeah. I think they've won this game, which is a crazy feeling to say about Texas A&M. But it's just, you realize all those dumb things they were doing in the first half, they just weren't doing in the second half. And it's like, it's not like South Carolina necessarily was like just running up and down the field on you. It was A&M was making tons of mistakes, and then in the second half they didn't, and South Carolina made them.
We've said this all season with this team. It does speak to the maturity of, I think it starts with Marcel Reed. He's a disaster in the first half. I don't know what he was seeing. You mentioned the accuracy was bad. The decision-making was worse. He tried to throw 3 more picks in the first half.
Yeah, it should have been worse.
A horrific first half where it's just like, what are you doing? Where you're like concerned for him. We were on a text thread, and after he got off to a rough start, kind of that first drive, and I was like, I think you have to bench Marcel. He's spiraling at this point. And he rallied and then turned into like the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. I think it speaks to the maturity of him first to sort of correct some of that and not, don't let that first half become a full game. There's something to be said for that. And then the maturity of the roster. It seemed like they one play at a time. and the maturity of Mike Elko. Like, we didn't see any crazy shots of Mike Elko like slapping a player or grabbing a face mask or like melting down. And I think that speaks to a maturity in the program overall. So props to Mike Elko. It seems like you've got a team that's an A&M team that we haven't seen in a while. You're muted, Chris.
And they said to Elko, what did you say at halftime? He said, not much, nothing really. I mean, like, what really is there to say? And I think that is a sign of, and I think that's a sign of trusting your team. Like, I think the coaches who don't say much at halftime are the ones who have kind of a good read of what their team is.
Well, I think it's knowing your team. You know, there's probably some time to take paint off the wall, but there's probably some time, like, there wasn't like a lot of adjusting that you had to do. Like you said, they weren't going up and down the field. It was like bad mistakes from Marcel Reed. You get the weird sack fumble. It's like just playing. And I think that there's like I said, the maturity comes with, there are no 28-point plays in college football. It's just one play at a time, you know, move the sticks, get stops. Maybe you get a big play here or there, but I think they had a couple catch and runs, but they didn't really have like a back-breaking play that I remember. I mean, it was just kind of like getting stops and moving the ball, and we're going to score, take advantage in the red zone. And I think that's almost more impressive than like a complete South Carolina meltdown, which wasn't really what we saw.
Okay, welcome to everybody who's here on the show. If you're new, please subscribe to Bunch Formation on podcast and on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. So Marcel Reed, is it the second week in a row we put a quarterback who didn't play great against a 3-win team at the top of the Heisman poll now, just like Fernando Mendoza a week ago? I'm like, Julian Sayin doesn't have his Heisman moments, man. Marcel Reed and near his Jeremiah Levin. It's all about the quarterbacks who struggle.
I'm really torn on the Julian Sayin thing because, like, you watch him and he obviously is playing really well, but like, I still can't get past, like, is he the third best player on his own team? Maybe the fourth.
Like, it's I can't
it's hard for me to deal with that.
I can't have the conversation right now because they've played 3 teams with a pulse, one of which was Texas, and he didn't play well in that game. So like, let's see what you do against Michigan. Let's see what you do against Indiana. And then we can make a decision.
I think that's fair.
And that's how it should be. I can't sit here and nobody can sit here and pound the table for Julian saying, look at his 80% completion percentage. Look at this, dude. Like, you're good, but there's like, who are you playing? So like, it's just, but they have some games coming up and that's good. With A&M as well, Mike Elko's extension, I and others reported it before the game. It'll make him a top 5 paid coach in college football. New 6-year deal through 2031. A lot of people were thinking when it happened, and then when the first half happened, oh no, did they just do another Jimbo Fisher situation? And I think coming back and winning the game made that a lot easier for Texas A&M to announce than if they hadn't.
I've seen a lot of post-contract extension games that go very poorly. You know, I covered a Tennessee coach who got an extension after a season in which he lost to Georgia State. And then the program tanked, and then they were trying to get out from under that extension very quickly. So listen, these extensions go the wrong way a lot. I didn't look at a lot of the details, but I do think in the current coaching carousel situation, you probably do need to lock him down. I don't know that what he has at A&M is a worse situation than anything he'd see at Florida or at LSU with all the upheaval there.
And I think
I don't think he's going to go, but you probably
and I think the only real one was Penn State because he's a New Jersey native, and some of Penn State's targets have either not come or aren't doing well anymore. And but Elko, he has everything he wants at Texas A&M, and he's doing things that haven't been done there in 30 plus years. So that's all good. And lastly, the state trooper situation here. So Nick Harbor in the first half, the video game legend, South Carolina receiver, takes a catch and goes 80 yards for a touchdown. Runs very, very far. Seems to hurt himself on the play.
He looked like he pulled his hamstring or something. Yeah. And he actually ended up in the hospital because he landed on, there was something with his chest later in the game. I didn't see exactly what the injury was. But
Harbor, as he continues to run, runs up one of the tunnels there. And a couple teammates follow. And then as they're walking back, there's a state trooper walking up the tunnel.
Can I interject quickly? The state trooper, by the way, was in the back of the end zone, like pretty close, like not close to the tunnel at all.
Well, so he's walking up the tunnel. The players are coming toward him, and both parties just kind of like do that thing where neither one of you are going to move and bump into each other. And the trooper like turns around all angry and like tells the players to go back to the field. Then they're going back to the field, and it looks like the trooper's coming down. So I think what he was doing, was that he was going to get the players up the tunnel. And then that happened. What did he not think they were going to come back? I don't know, but I assume that's why he went up
Texas, there. This is a Texas A&M fan who's frustrated. I think that's what it is. And you do something regrettable.
So that happens. I send an email. I reach out to the Texas Department of Public Safety, which here in Texas, they run the state troopers. And before I get a response, Texas A&M Police, the famous Twitter account that tweets about all the drunk fans, says that trooper has been removed from the game, his game assignment. Then the Texas Department of Public Safety sends me a statement, says we're aware of it. He's been removed from his game assignment, and the inspector general will look into it. This was crazy for so many reasons. Like, what are you doing? Like,
you're frustrated. You do something regrettable. Honestly, I'm glad it wasn't worse, because it could have been worse. Like, listen, Nick Harbor, I forget who the guy that was with him in the tunnel. Like, listen, I don't think those guys are going to pop off, but like, he did a good job of just like keeping it moving, because you can escalate that situation. The testosterone's also already running. Maybe it's down a little bit because you're hurt, but listen, I don't think it's much more complicated, Chris, than like, you're a Texas A&M fan. You're also a member of the Department of Public Safety. You pop off because you're frustrated and you don't like the players, I don't know, doing whatever. And then you do something regrettable. And fortunately, the parties wearing uniforms that aren't professionals had composure, whereas the, career person, lack of composure, to say the least.
No, I mean, good composure on that part. And good thing this was on television. Like that's the other thing. Like, what are you doing? You're going up to the guy who just scored a touchdown. You think you're going to get away with this? You think no one's going to notice? Like, just strange.
It was very strange.
We will update it as more comes in. But you know what it made me think of? When Texas played at Ole Miss, want to say like 10 to 15 years ago.
The Marquise Goodwin Marine or whatever. Right?
A long touchdown run
That's awesome.
Into the end zone. And there's like an ROT Marine right there in the end zone.
Yeah.
Just yelling like, no, like right in his
face. That was awesome.
I've tried to track down that Marine before for a story. I've not had any luck. But that's what that reminded me of. But bizarre situation, and it kind of didn't exactly flip the momentum, but that gave South Carolina 27 points. And then Texas A&M came back from there. They only allowed a field goal the rest of the way. So that whole thing was weird. Glad it didn't turn into something more. Texas A&M gets the win. And some people were making the case too, by the way, that like Texas A&M's schedule is not great. And it's because these conferences are too big. Like, they haven't played Texas yet, Alabama, Georgia, the Ole Miss, and like that's all Texas A&M can do is play the schedule in front of them, and they haven't lost yet. So I think that's all fine. But it's a problem with these conferences being too big. Elsewhere in the SEC, Oklahoma 23, Alabama 21. Bizarre game as well.
Shocking game, legitimately.
I mean, not for those of us who picked Oklahoma +6.
Chris, so Oklahoma, their ability to win these games in which they get basically beaten relatively soundly.
They were pretty much doubled up in total yards.
Pretty amazing. And turnovers do that in a hurry. They had a defensive score. They win the turnover battle 3-0. They had no business winning this game.
13 points. They were basically outgained like 400 to 200 in total yards. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma was, but they had 3 turnovers. They turned those into 13 points, including the pick six, 87-yard pick six. And there was a big punt return that led to a field goal. Oklahoma's scoring drives, the longest one was 41 yards. They had scoring drives of like 15 yards and 20 yards. Like, they didn't have to go far to get their points. And that's everything in a 2-point game. Like, it's the exact same thing Oklahoma did to Tennessee 2 weeks ago. The
And the
defense
missed
keeps
field
you
goal
in
at the
it.
end of the half, not good.
Miss
It
slash
seemed
block.
like,
He did block it.
was it blocked or what? Did the holder accidentally block it?
No, the guy leaped over the center, the long snapper, and got a little bit of a hand on it because he was saying that he got
Who
it
was the
afterward.
kicker mad at? I missed, like, he was yelling at somebody.
I don't know if he's mad at the snapper or the holder, but that's what the TV broadcast made the comment
That's
about.
a first.
as
I can't
well.
say I've seen a kicker berating a holder or a snapper after a missed kick.
Yeah.
By the way, Sean Lewis and your guy Jaden Denegal were having a meeting under an umbrella on the sidelines. I can't say I've seen that before.
It's been raining in Southern California
Yeah.
today. That is for sure. But yeah, like in Mateer didn't play great, but didn't turn the ball over. Like I was worried about Oklahoma when they said R. Mason Thomas was out. I can't imagine if he played because they were getting incredible amount of pressure on Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson, he played well, all things considered. Considering he did not have much time to throw, considering he had no running game. I actually thought he played pretty good. He just didn't have much with him. You know,
well, and the mistakes were big. I mean, I felt like Kalen DeBoer basically said, like, we played pretty well most of the snaps, but the ones we didn't were really bad, and that'll change the game.
And that's the difference.
I think too, Brett Venables deserves a lot of credit for scheming up a lot of pressure. You know, we saw some of the wide splits. They were doing a lot of stunts. They were confusing Alabama's offensive front, which has been pretty good this year in pass blocking anyway, not as much in run blocking. But Alabama had their chances and just couldn't get it done.
And Oklahoma very much in the playoff picture now. They finish with Missouri, who's down to a third-string quarterback, and LSU, who's playing a backup quarterback. So if Oklahoma wins those two games, it's hard to see them not getting in, especially now that Texas has lost to Georgia. That drops them down a bit. Oklahoma, if you win those last two games, I'm pretty confident they're in at that point.
By the way, speaking of Missouri, Ahmad Hardy, 281 rushing yards tonight and 3 touchdowns.
Nobody puts up gigantic numbers in games that nobody sees like Ahmad Hardy. We got a good player. But I have not seen almost any of that game at this point. But yeah, Brent Venables, I mean, comes in pretty much on the hot seat. Like 2 losing seasons in the last 3 years. You had what looked like a really tough schedule. It actually is not as tough of a schedule in hindsight with the way the season has played out. It's kind of like Florida last year, but you're 8-2 now. You win 2 games, you're in the playoff, like you're golden. Now, you lose one of those, you get upset, go 9-3. Still a good season, but not great. But they are now in a good spot because those games, Missouri, LSU, both at home.
Yeah, like, they should win both of those. Both of those teams are good enough to beat you, but it's going to take something.
Yeah, so that is big. I want to go back to something here. Josh Mustachio says, regarding Texas A&M and their schedule, what's the difference between Ohio State's schedule and A&M schedule? Noting only Ohio State is boring and gets questioned on it until today. Well, I mean, Texas A&M won at Notre Dame. And Ohio State beat Texas, but neither of us think Texas is that great anyway. And also, Ohio State's won every game since by 30 points. And they didn't fall behind.
I think people are talking about Ohio State as the best team in the country. I don't know that many people think A&M is the best team in the country necessarily.
Well, Lane Kiffin made that point last week, but I didn't agree with it because their resume was, to me, not on the level of Ohio State and Indiana. But it's fine. They all won. Ohio State's number one. I think the resume is not great for Ohio State, but they, again, have won every game by 3 scores since the Texas game. So it's like that does count for something there.
And I'll be happy for A&M fans if they can get to Atlanta where you have like a big time house money game where you cement that season as legendary if you can win that game. And if you lose it, it's not like you've screwed your whole season. Like it's kind of like, well, now let's try and win something else. I'll be happy for A&M fans if they can get to Atlanta because that's a big time. That would be a house money game of the year, honestly.
Well, I'll be in Austin in 2 weeks for Texas versus A&M. I guess I assume I'm still going to that and not Oklahoma LSU. I've already booked it, so
yeah, I don't think Texas will be playing for much in that game other than to play spoiler. But A&M will probably be playing for a spot in Atlanta there. It's probably going to come down to Bama and Georgia and them.
So Georgia beats Texas 35-10. Georgia pretty much dominated most of the game. Let Texas hang around for a minute there, but then Georgia pulled away with a 21-0 fourth quarter. Texas again
the onside kick, by the way, that broke
awesome.
Texas. Broke them.
The first onside kick Kirby Smart has ever done as a head coach, according to our buddy Seth Emerson. And what a time. You're not going to find an onside kick more easily recovered by the kicking team than Georgia did there. And if you're wondering by the way, why he didn't keep running, kicking team cannot advance an onside kick. Weird rule, but it's
a dumb rule. Why does that rule exist?
I don't know, but I learned it. I always remember this because I was a student at Michigan State in 2009 when Dan Lefevre and Antonio Brown came into Michigan State Spartan Stadium, and they got an onside kick late. Guy recovered it on the sideline in stride and could have taken it all the way for a touchdown, but he couldn't. That's when I learned the rule. Dan Lefevre, Butch Jones to kick a field goal to beat Michigan State.
How's Antonio Brown doing these days? Sounds like he's probably doing great.
I think he posted bail, which is a sentence that means things are going well for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything to say about Texas, Georgia? I mean, Gunnar Stockton, 24 for 29, 229, 4 touchdowns.
I think I'm
5 TDs.
I'm starting to believe in Georgia's ceiling just because they're still really physical and they're not necessarily like explosive, but they do get people open. The running game is pretty good. They've learned how to use Gunnar Stockton's legs a little bit. He's playing pretty confident. Like, I don't know if there's anybody that I just think Georgia couldn't beat. You know, I don't know. And I don't know that I felt that way about this team for a while. Certainly not after they lost Carson Beck last year. But they're playing in a way that we just haven't seen. Obviously, they're not dominant. They're having to muscle wins, but I feel like they can hang with anybody. And that to me, I think has been something that we've seen over the last month and a half. This team growing.
The last 2 games, their 2 best games of the year, I think. And actually, our colleague Ralph Russo tweeted, Georgia won't be ranked number 2, but I think that's the second best team in the country. And I could buy that right now with how they're playing. They ran the ball pretty well, by the way, in this game. 128 yards on the ground, 16 and 72 for Nate Frazier. So, like, they ran pretty good, had 2 runs of at least 20 yards. Like, not great, but that's pretty solid. Spread the ball around a bunch. Texas passed for 250 yards, but it took 43 passes. Sam Callan notes, concerned about CJ Allen's health. Yes, that is a big injury for them.
That didn't look good.
I guess we'll just kind of see. Did not look great, but that is one of those, like, there's not a lot of those guys around, and that could be a big problem for them. But Georgia finishes with they've got Georgia Tech to close the year. We'll get to them, and then Charlotte next week. So Georgia's done with SEC play now. And let me pull up the SEC standings real quick. I know going into the last weekend, nobody has clinched a spot in the SEC championship game. You've got Texas A&M is 7-0. If they win, they're in. Georgia finishes at 7-1, and then you've got Ole Miss at 6-1, Alabama at 6-1. So you could have a 3-way tie or even a 4-way tie with 7-1 teams. And Georgia's got the tiebreaker over Ole Miss because they won. I don't know how it works after that. I think somebody put it in the comments. That Georgia won't. Dr. Morpheus said Georgia won't be in the SEC championship unless Texas A&M loses to Texas. So in that 3-way, which in that 3-way, Georgia, Ole Miss, Bama, I guess that means Ole Miss, right? I don't know.
Could be
with the record.
Can we shift to the Big Ten briefly,
Well,
Chris?
it might be Bama because of the records against each other, I guess. Because Bama's 1-0 against the group. Ole Miss is 0-1, and Georgia's 1-1. Is that it? I don't know what it is. We'll find out at some point. There's
too many teams. There's like 4 teams in that mix, so
yeah,
we'll have to see. Anyway,
yeah.
Can we shift to the Big Ten briefly, Chris?
Yeah.
So, 2 emotional wins today. Michigan, I mean, they won.
Yeesh.
That's about all you can say. USC, they won also. Rallied from a pretty big deficit. It's about as animated and emotional as I've seen Lincoln rally on the sidelines. Like, definitely felt accomplished. So, those 2 teams are in basically the same boat right now. Michigan's got Ohio State left. You win that game, you're 10-2. You're probably getting in the playoff.
Well, you might
USC,
be in the Big Ten championship at that point, though.
Well, you know how I feel about the.
If they win, it might be USC too. I think they would need USC to lose. Also depends on Oregon. Oregon's also got 1 loss, so you got USC, Oregon next week. One of them will be eliminated.
Yeah. You have USC and Oregon. If they win that game and finish 10-2, they probably are also in the playoff. Do you think that there is an opportunity for either of those teams to slide in the bracket if they do take a 3rd loss? Or is it pretty much cut and dry for them in the same way that I think it is for Vandy, where you got to beat Tennessee to get in? And they're going to have to USC's going to have to beat Oregon, and Michigan's going to have to beat Ohio State.
Well, Michigan, I mean, they've lost to USC. So it gets really weird here because there's a chance where, like, say USC beats Oregon, Michigan beats Ohio State, USC, Indiana in the Big Ten championship. Then you suddenly got a bunch of 10-2 Big Ten teams. And I think Oregon would probably be left out there because USC would have wins over Michigan and Oregon and played in the Big Ten championship game. So Big Ten's, I don't think, getting 5 bids, but like suddenly there is a path to it. And Michigan in this game, I think ultimately, like, you can say we lost the turnover battle 5-0 on the road and won.
It was 5-0. I knew they turned over 5 times. I didn't realize they didn't get 1.
5-0, including a fumble on a 4th down that would have been stopped anyway. So, you put up almost 500 yards of offense, ran for almost 5 yards a carry. Like, all the numbers, 9 for 14 on 3rd down, all the numbers in here are good. Like, they dominated Northwestern in the box score. They just kept turning the ball over, and they missed 2 field goals, I think. So, like, from a normally reliable kicker, 5 turnovers, 2 missed field goals, you escape with a win. Live with that, even if I think Sharon Moore was not doing a good job with the timeouts at the end of the game either. So that's where Michigan's at. USC, they were down 14-0 in the rain at home. Come back to win. Looked pretty good. Didn't cover because they missed a 2-point conversion. That hurts. You got that one.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Ultimately, like I said at the top of the show, just a ton of close calls today. This could have been an all-time, like, pick up the pieces. What does this all look like? Georgia Tech was playing with fire. USC probably should have lost. Michigan was playing with fire as well. Virginia, Chandler Morris played, so that did not. But South Florida lost. Obviously, the Texas A&M situation. Ole Miss nearly lost.
So USC finishes with Oregon and UCLA. Oregon on the road next week, then home against UCLA. You look at this team, they've got a 2-point loss to Illinois and a loss at Notre Dame by 10, which was also in the rain. Like, they've turned the corner here, clearly. 8-2, probably at least 9 wins. You have the number 1 recruiting class coming in. Like, the rebuild has been slow, but it's back in the right direction, and that's what that is. What will be interesting, though, and we'll get to the hot seat, but if the Baylor job opens, people around the profession keep being like, Lincoln Riley and Baylor, you kind of keep hearing whispers about it. So we'll see what happens.
I do think there's something to be said for I was at that Notre Dame game and frustrating loss for USC. They had their chances in that game, but Lincoln was pretty defiant and was like, I know there's a good team in that locker room. I feel good about where we're at. I think we're going to be fine. And at the time, it feels like coach speak, whatever. But, this is a results business. And the results since then have borne out that he probably was onto something. Like, they played really good football. And I think that's 2 in a row, of gut check games for them that they win. So,
and I think like that's what's been fun about the last couple of weeks and the finish of the season. Like all these teams are playing like if you lose, you're out of the playoff picture. If Michigan loses that game, they're out. If USC loses that game, they're out. Texas lost, they're close to being out. If Oklahoma lost that game, they're out. If Notre Dame had lost to Pitt, they're out. Like that's what's so fun about this expanded playoff is that there's so many more games that just kind of like have a lot more meaning. This is why we expanded the playoff. And it's also why I don't want to expand it any further because it feels like we have the right exact amount here. I don't love the idea that Texas and Oklahoma could lose their third game, but still maybe be fine.
Yeah.
Like there's gotta be a limit. And like we always talk like, oh, there's going to be so many 10-2 teams. Who's going to get left out? Like,
no, there's not.
It never happens that way.
No.
We always think like, even talking now, like, well, what if this and this and this happens? And the Big Ten is 5 teams with 10-2 or better. It's not going to happen. It never happens like that. Ultimately, we're going to still be arguing probably if a 3-loss team can get in, maybe there's the exact amount of 10-2 teams.
It might be easy for the committee. We'll have to see where we land.
Yeah,
Chris, should we touch on the G5 briefly?
Well, let's get Notre Dame real quick because they were the game day game. They go to Pitt, win 35-17, I think it was, and Pitt just looked like they did not belong on the field there. And Pat Narduzzi looked like he knew what he was talking about when he said we could lose this game by 100 because offense couldn't do anything. Jeremiah Love, 147 yards. Incredible spin move on the long touchdown run. You want a Heisman moment? There's a Heisman moment. He is clearly one of the best players in the country. Had the hilarious moment where Pitt gets a pick 6 for a touchdown. Then they throw a pick 2 on the 2-point conversion, turning it ultimately into a pick 4, which I've never seen in my life. It was like the funniest thing. It was like incredibly fitting at that time. But Notre Dame.
What was the there was a little bit of a drive-by with Freeman and Narduzzi. I missed what the beef was with them.
I don't know. Maybe it was Narduzzi saying this game doesn't matter, or he didn't say it doesn't matter. He said it's not a must win. So like maybe that was it, or maybe it was. I mean, the ACC was taking some shots at Notre Dame last week as they're trying to pump up Miami. In terms of the ranking. So and they called them Team B is who they referred to Notre Dame as. So maybe that was it. I don't know. But any thoughts on Notre Dame and Jeremiah Love?
No, butt kicking. Notre Dame has looked really, really good. BC is what BC is. Like it feels like every 3 weeks they look competent and then they just get trampled by somebody. So that's the only time that they've really kind of messed around. But
what's up, Trevor?
So solid since then. So it's been solid. It's been solid for Notre Dame. Again, if you want to make qualms with their resume, okay, their resume is not good. But if you watch the team, they're clearly one of the 10 best teams in the country. I don't know what to tell you. It's just what it is.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, like, Miami took care of business. They beat NC State like 41-7 or something. The same NC State that beat Georgia Tech. So like, we may be getting to a point soon where when certain teams lose, Miami gets closer to Notre Dame in the rankings. And if you do that, I think you need to put Miami ahead because Miami beat Notre Dame. I still have Miami ahead in my rankings. I will on Monday. But Notre Dame, it's a second ranked win. It probably won't be a ranked win now because they won, but it's a road win, played well. Like they've been dominant. I agree. Like they are one of the 10 best teams in the country. And I think things will probably fall their way where if they win out, they're going to be in. Texas has fallen off. I think Oklahoma will jump them. Probably. They should.
It's going to be close.
They will in my rankings. Oklahoma will jump Notre Dame, but that's because they have a lot more better wins. So that's the thing about having 2 losses. Like you just it makes it very, very close. So we'll see on Notre Dame. We will probably be live again doing this Tuesday night for those rankings. The lovely Champions Classic one. All right, you wanted to talk G5.
So quite a day. Obviously, Navy throws a wrench in things, but
So here's a recap
ahead.
about it. Navy beats USF 41-38. Tulane beats FAU 35-21 to keep pace. East Carolina beats Memphis 31-27 to
Big
keep pace.
game.
North Texas beats UAB. So you now have 4 teams with 1 loss. Navy, North Texas, Tulane, and ECU. North Texas beat Navy, Tulane beat ECU. That's all they've played amongst themselves. They don't play each other anymore.
Chris, nobody's talked about ECU all season long. Today was kind of the first time that they were like, you're going to have to deal with us. If they went out, now ECU, it should be noted, is 7-3.
Yep.
Have a 21-point loss to BYU. I saw them lose by a touchdown to NC State on the road in the season opener. They did have a late drive. They just couldn't score on that. And then obviously have the 7-point loss to Tulane. So not
which I saw.
Yeah,
we are the only, we have to be the only college football podcast that has been to 2 ECU games this season.
Probably right.
We respect them. And they both lost those games.
Yes.
And we respect the Pirates.
I do wonder if like that debate between ECU and James Madison, who romped today, if that's a road for James Madison to get in, because we don't really know. The committee hasn't shown their hand. We don't know how they compare ECU to James Madison. It might not.
We don't know how they compare any of these teams. Any of those teams or James Madison. None of them have showed up in the CFP ranking.
I think it's fair to say, though, North Texas is probably pretty far above like ECU.
It should be, because North Texas has the win over Navy.
Yes.
My question is really for that top spot right now. I think it's North Texas or Tulane or JMU. I think because Tulane has 2 Power 4 wins. I know Duke and Northwestern aren't as great, but they have those wins and they beat Memphis. North Texas beat Navy. They also got blown out by USF. I guess Navy could. But North Texas will be ahead of Navy no matter what. So it's like Navy, Tulane is like who's number 2, and then
USF's a real challenge. So the committee will have to show its hand in some way this week. Somebody's either going to get ranked, but somebody will be in the bracket. Nick Flynn asked, why not do a 2 to 4 team G5 playoff for the spot in the field of 12? Obviously, Chris, I'm pretty sure we're on the same page of being extremely anti just a separate G5 playoff.
Yeah.
But reimagining championship week as something like a bracket busters weekend, where I don't know how you do it. You know, I don't think anybody wants to infringe on Army Navy. I don't know how you would structure it necessarily. Maybe you do it on like
they're going to have to move Army. Wednesday. They're going to have to move Army Navy, because even if they move to a 16-team field, they're putting games on that weekend. So,
well, anyway, how do you feel about that idea of maybe all of your champions play, or maybe your 4 highest teams get put in a bracket? I don't know how you would structure it, but how do you feel about that conceptually?
I mean, like, it's been talked about kind of, because as the play-in games with the Big Ten pitched, instead of conference championships and whatever, like Big Ten, 6 teams play for 4 spots or whatever, 8 teams play for 4 spots or whatever. Like, that's been talked about as a possibility. The G5 just doesn't want to do that. Like, if you're going to expand the field so much, they want multiple bids too, in which case you could, I don't know how you do it though, because you're going to have 6 conferences, and say you get 2 spots for the group of 5. I don't know how you do that. Do you leave 2 champions out? That's where it gets kind of weird. Yeah. It just like logistically is very, very hard. But the American problem here is the same problem as the SEC, the same problem the Big 12 had last week, the same problem with the ACC right now. All of these conferences are too big. And so you have these top 4 teams that have only 2 games against each other. It's a problem. And there's nothing we can do, because Their conferences are not meant to be this big, and expanding the playoff does not just fix it, because we don't know within these conferences how good teams are relative to each other, because the schedules within the conferences are so incredibly skewed. So you don't really know how good a team is coming out of the regular season. That's a problem. And there's nothing we can do about it anymore because they're too big. Going to 9 conference games isn't going to fix it either, because we're seeing it's
Ohio
the same
State,
problem
Texas
there.
A&M, very very emblematic of that this year.
So
where we want to
James Madison,
schedule is what it is.
there's a report that James Madison is going to get College Game Day next week when Washington State comes to town. JMU is also doing a Marvel superhero day with superheroes on their helmets. I don't know if that's all Disney synergy or what, but like JMU's sitting there, they beat App State 58-10 today. The problem is they just don't have good wins. Their best win is Old Dominion, who is now 7-3. And when you compare that to Navy, who has beaten USF, or North Texas, who has beaten Navy, and you have Tulane, who's beaten Memphis and Northwestern and Duke, and so JMU's schedule is pretty low. For a while, it was one of the worst in the country, and their only loss is to Louisville, who has now lost 2 games in a row to Cal and Clemson. So
do
now
we care about Washington State, who North Texas beat by 49 points? Like if JMU wins that game by 3 touchdowns next week, or if they struggle, which Ole Miss did as well, or they win that game by 40 points, do you think that will matter to anyone?
Yes. If you have a direct comparison, they both played Washington State, you're going to give it to North Texas, 100%. And so that's why I'm very curious. Like North Texas, like if I had to put my money right now on who has the best shot, I think I would put it on North Texas, because I think they have the easiest path remaining. They've got Temple and somebody else. Tulane also plays Temple, I think, but they've got a clear path to 11-1 and a spot in it. Drew Mestamaker can put up 1 million points, and you're not playing, and you don't have to play USF, which was a problem. I was at the USF North Texas game. They just got out physical by a physically better team. Now Tulane might be that, but the computers love North Texas. And so if you're in a multi-team tie here and it gets down to some of those weird tiebreakers, the computers are really high on the mean green. And I think I saw North Texas, I think, has 4 wins over teams over 500. Nicole Auerbach was sending me like some of the notes she had written down among them. Yeah, North Texas has
Navy,
4 wins over 500 teams or better. JMU has 1. JMU has 1 win over a team with a winning record, or 500 or better, or something like that. So
Army.
that is where I think North Texas is in a pretty good spot.
Western
Whether
Michigan, it's top of the MAC, you've got to win over them.
Who does?
North Texas.
Oh, there you go. That's something as well. So I think North Texas is in a pretty good spot there, but we will see, because again, they haven't ranked any of these teams yet, so I don't know. What else we got here? Virginia, 34-17 over Duke. Where has this Virginia been for a month? Like they've been pulling games out of their ass for a while. Chandler Morris, I believe, played really well. Virginia wins. They're in a pretty good spot for ACC championship game. Let me pull up the ACC.
I had this on my laptop, but this was not even as close to the final score. Duke was not really competitive in this game.
George, and it also,
Chris, big picture college football question for you.
Yeah.
How do you think Duke feels about the $3 to $4 million they spent on Darian Mensah?
I mean, he's not the problem.
I know, but I'm just asking. Like, do you think they feel like they got good for that money, or do you take that money and you distribute it for a tackle and a pass rusher and a linebacker? I don't know. I think it's an interesting question.
I think they've basically been, it's been Darian Mensah and Cooper Barkate, the receiver. Those guys have like carried the team this year. So like without that, I don't know what you are. I don't think that's a problem. I think you got what you needed for Mensah, and I don't know if giving it to one offensive lineman is going to make a difference when you're Duke. Do you
I just
disagree?
think it's interesting to ask, like, what do you how they feel about that investment in general. Not that he's been bad, but would you do it again? I don't know.
I think they feel
again at the end of the day, it's $4 million to go. I mean, what is Duke 6-4? Like, it's either you redistribute it, or you just say, I don't really want to spend $4 million to go 6-4. I'm going to invest that in bonds and not my favorite football team, or go spend $4 million to get AJ DeBonsa instead of letting him go to BYU.
Yeah, well, there's that. Well, I mean, Duke's doing all right.
I know, but I'm just saying, if you love Duke, and you want to pay that, I think it's not so much a question about is he been good. It's like more existential.
I think there's a lot more. I think there's a lot more teams who feel bad about the quarterback investment they made than Duke.
I would still. My point is, I'm trying to think, but Mensa was the best quarterback probably in the portal last year, and I would say among the transfer quarterbacks, unless I'm forgetting someone, he's probably been the best this year. I would say.
I mean, been better than Carson Beck. I think we would say.
Yeah,
that. John Mateer.
It's close between him and Mateer.
Yeah, Mendoza. Obviously, Fernando Mendoza's been better.
Oh yeah, Mendoza's been really good.
So Mendoza's interesting though, because he's from Miami, and Indiana got him, not Miami, who went with Carson Beck. That's where I think if you're Miami, you're saying like, man, imagine if we had put that Carson Beck money and gotten Fernando Mendoza. That's where things are.
I almost forgot he was a transfer. Yeah, good point. But it's the interesting world. I mean, I think we're gonna.
Yeah.
This year's portal will be fascinating. I think there'll be a lot more working ahead than we've seen in previous years. But the market will be fascinating. We're almost to that time. We're 3 weeks away. Well, no, I take that back because the portal moved. So we're in January now. So the portal day. I always hated portal day being Monday after championship week because I was very busy in that time doing other stuff. Usually there's award stuff and I got to be I had to do some other stuff and you're trying to take a breath and there's just no time to breathe. But we'll see how it feels. That first Monday after championship week is going to be weird without portal moves this year.
Georgia Tech beat Boston College 36-34. I did not expect to have to watch this game, but I did. And Boston College kept punching back for a while when Georgia Tech would answer. Ultimately, Tech kicks a field goal as time expires. Did you see Brent Key's post-game on-field interview?
Yeah, he was so mad. It was very funny. We won.
Not even mad, just he was like the literal definition of I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. It's just like
that again. But I also think there's a lot of coaches who would be running around the field in hysterics, celebrating that win. I think it speaks to
the ball.
There's our guy. I think it speaks to why you're a good coach when you can win, you can relish the fact that you won and also be disgusted with your team. It goes back to, did you see that viral clip that was going around of comparing Nick Saban at LSU when he was mad after a win and then comparing the Brian Kelly, you're spoiled reaction after the Florida game, which was clearly correct?
Did not. Yeah.
It was just basically Saban saying a lot of what Brent Key said, which shocker, Brent Key, a Saban guy. But just we won, but it doesn't matter because we didn't play up to the standard. And if you want to do what you think we need to do here and what you all want to do, then you need to play up to that standard. I think that's ultimately what it's about is process oriented, not results oriented. And I think I think process oriented or results oriented is just good life philosophy in general. But I think the coaches that we won, but we played terrible. And then in that same breath, you get some of the coaches that our team played great. We didn't get the win, but we're growing. Mm-hmm. There's maybe been some of that in North Carolina this year where, they didn't play great today, but
they lost. They lost. They won.
They lost.
They're not going to a bowl game, right? To Wake Forest. So now the 7 losses.
No, I believe have 2 chances still to go to a bowl. They got to win out. I believe that's right.
They're 4-6 now.
Yes, they got to beat Duke and the aforementioned Darian Mensah, and then NC State. Somebody asked. So I'm new to the state of North Carolina. I'm still learning about these rivalries, the triangle stuff. But somebody asked Bill Belichick about how he felt about this. I didn't realize that they just backfilled all these rivalries where North Carolina closes at Wake, Duke, and at NC State. It is kind of weird that you just stack all these rivalry games instead of spacing them out. Belichick was like, I don't really care, whatever. But like,
yeah, why would he care?
I mean, it's more just the head coach of the flagship university. What do you think about this schedule? It's very weird that all these are stacked up. None of these teams are that good, so like you don't hear about it very much. But man,
well, it's not normally like this, right?
I gotta be honest, I don't recall. Like,
because I remember
UNC. I'm usually paying that close attention,
like
but I just live in the state now.
Normally UNC finishes with NC State. The Duke game I remember kind
Yeah.
of being all throughout the year. So
I don't know.
there's that. But ACC standings, real quick. So you got 1-loss teams: Georgia Tech 6-1, Virginia 6-1, Pitt 5-1, SMU 5-1. Pitt still plays Miami and Georgia Tech. Miami still got 2 losses.
I'm not willing to engage any tiebreaker conversations until
but
maybe the end of next week.
It
gave me a headache last year. It was very annoying. It's going to be part of our lives now, as we lamented last season, and I'm just not willing to engage.
But I believe if Georgia Tech and Virginia both win, because Georgia Tech would eliminate Pitt, and then if Virginia wins against Virginia Tech, I believe it would be Virginia, Georgia Tech. I think if they both win their next game, it's those two. And you need more for SMU to then get in, and you need SMU to also lose to open the door for Miami. Miami, it's going to be so weird, man. Miami's going to keep inching up in the rankings and not be close to the ACC championship game because these conferences are too big. It's a problem. Like Georgia Tech doesn't like Miami. Georgia Tech doesn't play Miami. I don't think Virginia. I don't think they played each other either. Like SMU doesn't play most of these teams. It's a problem, and it gets really weird when you get down to these spots. So, hot seat.
By the way, Chris,
yeah.
briefly, I just noticed this today. Our Arkansas lost close to LSU. Arkansas's got to be the greatest 0-6 team in the history of the SEC.
Dude, hold on. Let me pull this up. They are 1-7. I'm sorry. They are 3-7 overall.
Mm-hmm. No, 2-8 overall.
I'm looking at the wrong team. They are 2-8 overall with a positive score margin on the season.
Mm-hmm. I was texting with a staffer about that last week, actually.
They've lost
to Ole Miss by 6. They lost at Memphis by 1. They lost Tennessee by 3, A&M by 3, Auburn by 9, Ole Miss by 3, LSU by 1, and then they have a 45-point win over Alabama A&M and a 42-point win over Arkansas State.
They are Petrino is 0-5 in the SEC with 4 losses by 3 points or less.
The Petrino conversation is kind of over in Arkansas, but the Petrino OC conversation will be very interesting when the carousel starts spinning next year. Like, somebody is gonna do it, obviously. And I will say, Chris, you know who is not the craziest idea? South Carolina.
Oh, for Petrino to be the OC at South Carolina? Yeah, it's not been good there. He's already Shane Beamer's already fired the OC. He's already fired the O-line coach. Fans are really mad at him. And I understand being mad about the season, but there's a problem where everybody wants to fire their coach all the time and thinks it'll solve the problems.
Yeah, and I think too. Don't forget, Lenore's coming back. Dylan Stewart, portal notwithstanding,
we'll see. Yeah,
coming back. But I do think it's just as simple as you whiffed on the OC hire and your offensive line. You got some development issues there. They fired their offensive line coach a month ago. Like, I do think South Carolina's in a situation where you make one good coordinator hire and all of a sudden you're winning 8-9 games again, like, immediately. You saw it today. Like, South Carolina has talent. Like, yes, the roster has some holes in it, but, Harbor,
but also
Sellers, Stewart, the defensive front, like, they got good linebackers for secondary. Their safeties are pretty good. The corners aren't great, but like, you're watching them play A&M and dominate them in the first half. And it's not like, how are they doing this? This team is terrible. It's just like, oh, here's South Carolina. Like, we've kind of seen this team. Like, that was kind of the overwhelming takeaway.
And I would just say, like, everybody needs to just like understand this is a different college football now, and you have to not think Kurt Signetti in Indiana is the norm. That is not. That is
I don't think that's how
unusual.
people's brains work, Chris. I don't think
No,
that's
it's not, and it's a problem because like
yes, I agree.
like what? Oh, look at Vanderbilt. It's like, yeah, well, they got Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers. That changed everything. Look at Clark Lee's record before he got him. You know, like it's not
Yeah.
good. And
And Beck
Georgia,
and Jerry Kill, it should be noted. The
yeah,
sort of
like it's
engine of that program right now.
it's not like just like fire the coach and start over. The pool is not great, and you do have a proven track record of pretty good success under Shane Beamer. Like you give him another year, and like he's not getting fired, but you know, we'll see how next year goes. Hot seat watch here, by the way. Let's get into this. Baylor loses 55-28 to Utah. Utah runs for 380 yards. 3 different players had runs of at least 60 yards for touchdowns.
The quarterback,
And
I think Bird, his name, he had a nasty stiff arm. I mean, at this point, I don't know how you keep this going if you're Baylor.
It is likely that Baylor's going to make a coaching change and that Dave Aranda is out. They had high expectations for this year. You had all the pieces. You had Sawyer Robertson, really good running backs. Triggs is seen like they're losing the quarterback and all the pass catchers next year. They're out of eligibility. And so this was supposed to be the year. It didn't work. It's the year to make a change. However, your athletic director just went on leave.
Yeah, that was my question. I didn't mean it as a joke, but like, is there someone who can fire him right now? That's the actual question.
I mean, the governor of Louisiana would tell you, you know, it's probably him. But so they have 2 interim ADs right now at Baylor. And Rhodes is going to be out for a little bit. It's still unclear exactly what it was. Some investigations into some allegations, different than him getting in a thing with Michael Trigg and an assistant coach. So who is going to make the firing and lead the search? I don't think they know yet. This just happened last week. Now, it may not be difficult to say, we don't need to have anybody to say, Dave Aranda, you're gone. Eric Morris, you're in. Like, could it be that simple? But Eric Morris is very much in the mix at Oklahoma State, pretty far down the line. That search has been going on for a long time. And Eric Morris may have a playoff, deal to go with the North Texas. So, like, keep an eye on Baylor.
Also, the co-ADs at Baylor, is that working similar to the Dunder Mifflin co-managers, where one person's handling the big picture, another person handling the day-to-day? I'm curious how that's actually working, because I don't know that I've ever heard of that before.
I have pre-written the Baylor job profile. I don't know if it's going to need to go tomorrow or not. Baylor can still get to a bowl game and all that stuff, but like, it's time to make a change there, I think. But it's unclear because of the weird AD situation now if that's going to happen. So there's that. Florida State beat Virginia Tech 34-14. It was not pretty, but it was ultimately comfortable. And Mike Norvell should be safe for another week. They've said we're waiting till the end of the season. They're now 5-5. They've got Florida and NC State next week. NC State, then Florida.
Mm-hmm.
If you win both those games, you get to 7-5. I think you're good. If you're 6-6, not sure. 5-7.
Don't get rocked by Florida. A close loss to Florida, we'll see.
Yeah, and that comes into play because, as our colleagues Bruce Feldman and Ralph Russo reported during the week, and I've heard as well, is that Virginia Tech has been pushing hard for James Franklin. They've been talking for a while. They're not in the early stages of something. This has been going on for a while. And there may be a resolution to that by Sunday, by Monday, or maybe Virginia Tech then moves on. Because the thought is also that James Franklin may be interested in Auburn, maybe waiting to see what happens at Florida State. So Virginia Tech doesn't want to wait around for him forever. So we'll keep an eye on that. News could happen.
Chris,
soon.
James Franklin showing up on the sidelines at Old Dominion Friday night. Something? Nothing?
No, he's close with Ricky Ronnie, the head coach.
I know, but my point is that's in Virginia.
Yeah, but I mean, Billy Napier went to Texas practice or Georgia practice or whatever it was.
I know, but I'm just saying, is he wanting to be seen in the state of Virginia to be put in the conversation to have people talking more?
Maybe.
About it?
I mean, David Teal asked him to comment on Virginia Tech, and he declined. I don't know the context of how Teal found him and talked to him, but
I don't know. I mean, Teal's a good reporter, so it's
I think no, I think James Franklin would do a very good job at Virginia Tech. Like I've been talking to people from Virginia Tech for a story. I'm like, what's gone wrong there? What does it take there? And even though the guy you just fired was James Franklin's former DC, the way former staffers have put it to me was like Brent Pry was like tried to be James Franklin, but he's not James Franklin. So do you go get James Franklin? I think he'd be a good fit there. I think he thinks he can get a better job because of his track record, because of the jobs that are open. Like it's very possible. But that's why these timelines are so weird with searches now, where some people have been looking for months. Some people are waiting till the end of the season. The portal's different. Power 4 schools want to hire G5 coaches before their seasons end. That is very much happening. They just there's zero respect for what the G5 coaches are going through. So we will see if we get resolution on Franklin, Virginia Tech at some point. Meanwhile, Illinois 24, Maryland 6. Maryland is now 4-6. They've got Michigan and Michigan State left. I'm on Loxley watch. I've heard if they get to 6 wins, they think he's okay. But now you have to upset Michigan for that to happen. And that's probably not going to happen. They're in such a weird spot because it's like they like the young talent that they have there. And if you get rid of Loxley, you're losing all those guys. You know, some really good freshman class. Yes. Those guys, Mike Loxley's a very good recruiter, especially in
I know
he
is, but I'm just saying I don't know that you can just take that as a given. You probably will, but money talks.
Yeah, but also the other thing, Maryland doesn't have a lot of money. Like they're near the bottom of the Big Ten in football spending at the moment. There was actually a good story in CBS by John Talty talking to the Maryland AD and kind of where they're at and stuff like that. You got to invest, but it's hard to invest when no one believes in the coach. That's the situation Maryland is in right now. It's also the situation Michigan State is in. Penn State beats Michigan State 28-10. Penn State wins the Land-Grant Trophy, the greatest trophy in all sports. This was a game where Michigan State was close. This game was like 14-10, I think, into the fourth quarter. Like,
yeah, I had it on one of my screens. I was curious.
Penn State eventually pulled away. You had a Big Ten game between 2 winless Big Ten teams on your screen?
It was on CBS. It was on the multi-view. I was like, I'll leave it on there. I was like, I was curious to see what Penn State had going on. I did not watch Maryland, Illinois. I'll out myself. That one was not on any screen of mine at any point today. So
yeah. Michigan State's in the weird spot now where they now have the NCAA penalties from the Mel Tucker era that just got handed down. Jonathan Smith said after this game that he didn't know about it when he got hired, which raises all kinds of red flags. The AD who hired him is no longer there either. But it's almost like a spot where like now it makes your job less desirable in the first place. They already aren't doing great on money and don't want to have to fire him. And now, oh, hey, we've got probation and some recruiting issues for the next couple of years. That's going to make it even harder to sell your job. So, but Michigan State also, they finished with Maryland and I forgot who else. But Michigan State hasn't gone winless in the Big Ten since like the 50s or something like that. And they're on track to do that. They're missing a bowl game again. Like everybody's given up on Jonathan Smith, the fans. It's just one of those things where it's like they need to make a change, but they can't really make a change, and they maybe shouldn't make a change. And that's a weird spot that they're in. It's the same spot Wisconsin's in too, by the way. And you're just kind of like stuck. So that's weird. But I guess those would be the jobs to keep an eye out for on Sunday. Baylor, Maryland, Michigan State, but really Baylor more than any of them. But again, they've got the weird AD situation.
Yeah.
Anything?
We got Trey Ingram logged on specifically to ask me if I've been finally impressed by Oklahoma. We hit on it a little bit earlier in the show. The short answer is yes. Wins are wins. That's impressive on its own. But like they definitely got outplayed today, won the turnover battle, got outplayed for a half at Tennessee, played a kind of to a to a draw in the second half. So, I mean, yes. The short answer to that is yes. The long answer is you're kind of playing blessed by God at the moment. So,
Nick Flynn, is there a legit history story on why the Land Grant Trophy looks the way it is?
Didn't we write about this?
Our friend Audrey Snyder wrote about it for The Athletic a number of years ago. Yeah. It was just made in like the 90s, and it was made to look like a bullet. They wanted it to include the statues on both campuses, and they just made it the most ugliest thing you've ever seen. But Chris, I love that Penn State carries it around.
You're familiar with the once great, now defunct Cyhawk Trophy, right? That's the greatest trophy that's ever been made. Are you familiar with this from about 15 years ago? The
one that they created, was that the with the corn. Was that the one with the corn?
It's basically it's a father and like his kids kneeling next to a bucket of corn, and that is the trophy for the Cyhawk. They debuted it at like the state fair or something. People revolted. I believe they killed it before they could actually award it. So I don't think it ever actually got handed out. And I did ask around, and it did get, I think, melted down. Like it doesn't exist anymore, as far as I understand it. If you know where it is, but the Cyhawk family trophy that's the gold standard for funniest. Like,
By the way, trophy. Love seeing it. We got more than 2,300 people in here right now. If you're new to the show, and I know you are because this is more than the people who listen to the show typically, please subscribe to the podcast. We have our Monday recap show, our Thursday preview show. We'll go live sometimes on Saturdays, live during the CFP rankings. Bunch formation on your podcasts and on YouTube. Please subscribe, do all that stuff. It's David and I doing the show independent, just on our own, no production. It's just him and I doing this whole thing. And it's been a lot of fun, and we appreciate the new people who have been finding it. The show keeps growing and growing throughout the year. We have a lot of plans for the offseason, by the way. Like David and I keep texting each other these different people we want to bring on the show to interview. So we got some plans to try some new things. I can't believe I forgot to mention this earlier. We will talk about this again on the Monday show. But David, right before we got on, you tweeted an insane.
It's not insane.
It's not insane. About what Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss. Explain it.
Okay, so the actual tweet is, let me pull it up. It said the gap between what Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss and what Curt Cignetti has done at Indiana is a lot closer than people think. 50 wins and counting in 5 seasons. The only guy close to that has his name on the stadium. Here's my point. No. We're going to go there. Here's my point. Number one, basically, Curt Cignetti brought over his entire James Madison roster in year 1. That has a great effect of establishing a foundation.
The the JMU roster to the Big Ten. Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, there's a sustaining power there. I think Indiana is going to be very good for a while, but a year and a half, basically a year and 3/4 of great football. And last year, we can admit, yes, aided by the schedule. This year, probably not. We'll see how this season is remembered. Is really good. But winning 50 games over 5 years at Ole Miss is really hard to do. There's a reason. Yes,
but that's
sustaining wins is harder. That's why also, I'm not saying it's better. I said Cignetti clearly is better. I'm just saying the gap. People act like Cignetti, is like the second coming or whatever. And like Lane Kiffin, what he said at Ole Miss is unbelievable.
They're not even comparable things. Cignetti hasn't sustained because he's only been there for 2 years.
That's my point. Sustaining, you get credit.
I'm just saying they're not.
That's
saying
why I said what he's done at Ole Miss is the gap is smaller than people think.
I'm saying they're not even things to compare. You can't compare Lane's.
You can compare them. I did it, Chris. I did it in a tweet. 280 characters. I did compare it.
Here's the thing. You want to know what the coach before Lane Kiffin did? Or not before, 2 before? Hugh Freeze went to a Sugar Bowl. Hugh Freeze went to a Peach Bowl. Houston Nutt went to 2 Cotton Bowls. David Cutcliffe went to a Cotton Bowl. Eli Manning happened. What are you talking about, dude? Like, Ole Miss has
sustained, not just 1 year.
Indiana is the losingest team in the history of college football until Curt Cignetti came in and did this insane thing.
Okay, sure. But I'm talking about sustained, not 1 good year. A lot of coaches have had 1 or 2 good years at Ole Miss. Not anybody has been able to do this for 5 years where you've been like a legitimate factor. That's really hard to do.
But I'm just saying they're not things to compare. Like, you can't compare them because Cignetti. It's not like Cignetti's been there. No, you compare it if Cignetti's been there for 7 years and he's had 2 good years. Like, that's where he's only been there he's won like 95% of his games. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about winning and sustaining victories at Ole Miss is not that easy to do, and Lane Kiffin's doing it. And he might have his best team this year.
Hugh Freeze could have done it if he, just didn't do other things too, by the way. But like, I'm
not the first coach to be.
My first reaction was like, wait a minute. My first reaction was like, wait a minute. I remember Eli Manning playing in a Cotton Bowl and Houston Nutt going to Cotton Bowls and beating Tim Tebow in the Swamp. Like, guys can go to Ole Miss and win. Like, that's been done a lot of times this century. Indiana had never had a 10-win season. Now they have 2 in 2 years. Like,
By the way,
not even.
It is comparable. Anyway, quick question on the Oklahoma front. Apologies for not putting this together until literally today. I Googled it. I have not seen this story written. Maybe I shouldn't say this out loud because I feel like I want to write this story at some point or alert someone to this story. However, nobody will talk about the fact that Oklahoma has 2 starting defensive backs who are brothers named Peyton and Eli.
Oh, I didn't put the first names together. By the way, yeah. I'm sure this has been written.
I Googled it. All I want to know is, like, is this what? Surely it's what you think it is, but like,
how?
But it has to be, doesn't it?
How old are they though? How old is?
I mean, they're in college, Eli. So I don't know, 20.
So that puts you at 2005. So that'd be like right when Eli was just out of college by then. Around that time, he was like 02, 03 ish.
I will say, having 2 sons, naming them Peyton and Eli, that is wild behavior. And then having them both become starters, that defensive back, the blood enemy of quarterbacks at Oklahoma is wild. I don't know how more people are talking about this. This is like one of those things where like Texas had a running back and a defensive tackle named Malcolm Brown on the same team. I was like, how does anybody think about anything else at any point during the day? That's all I can think about.
If Oklahoma makes the playoff, I am probably going to cover them. So maybe I will.
Well, there you go. Story. Also, Notre Dame has 2 players named Bryce Young and Devontae Smith on their team.
That's a problem.
We gotta stop. I don't know what's happening. I truly, I was when I discovered this today. Like, I kind of heard of both of them, like, yeah, but I just hadn't really like put it together, and I was like,
yeah. As we were working on the game story, like, you put that in there, I was like, oh, I didn't catch that, even though I've actually been to several Oklahoma games.
Yes, I know.
Anyway. All right, we got a question here from a bit ago from 214 Elbow. Who's winning in y'all dynasty? Is
it's kind of a complicated question at the moment.
So, I mean,
if anyone cares, they were in a media dynasty. There's a bunch of people in there.
Well, not anymore. A lot of people quit because they.
Yeah, some people quit.
We're down to like 5 people.
We're in the football season, but I am in the Final Four. It is myself against Charles McDonald in the Final Four, and then one of the other Auburn people who is in that group, and he's playing against the computer on the other side of the bracket. I did get to the SEC championship and lost in a barn burner. I believe it was it 62-59, something like that.
Insane.
It was a crazy game. So we may have a rematch in the national championship between South Carolina, who was me, and Auburn. So that's the update. So
I went 9-4, won the Texas Bowl, beat Deion. Jaden Knott had 350 yards in the bowl game after getting injured. He finally played a whole game. He gets injured on every play.
What can we get? Where has Jaden Knott been, by the way? Is he still like around? Nobody's talking about him.
It's not gone well. From my understanding, he's both been 1, banged up, and 2, not been a great fit for the offense. But as I was dominating Colorado in the bowl game, I was like, Ben Arbuckle, this isn't that hard. This shouldn't be. Sam Cowell makes
the funny thing is, Jaden Knott would actually be a pretty nice little fit at Cal JKS this year.
How about that? So yeah. I mean, like, I don't know if he's played enough games to take a red shirt or not. He probably has, but like, because there was Mekhi Hughes, the running back, went to Tulane to Oregon. He is redshirting.
He's redshirting, yeah.
And says he's going to go back in the portal, but technically he doesn't have another year of eligibility, but I think they're going to try to get him one. So we'll see about that. Yeah. So BYU's up 27-10 here in the third quarter. This is big not only for the Big 12 standings, but a pick you and I actually made differently on our picks. I need this one because I need to make up some ground on you.
I don't think I'm going to stay up for the end of these, but I am going to eat a snack. Chris, we pretty much wrapped up the important conversation. Oh, we got a Joseph Manjack catch. I wish TCU was better because Joseph Manjack wearing 0 accessories is one of my favorite college football things.
I wish they were good because it'd be a reason to go over there more.
Yeah. Chris, are you familiar with Sissy Schubert's rolls? The frozen rolls that are...
No, but I saw you tweet something about this.
So... I decided to make French toast out of them today. It's delicious. I've made French toast out of Texas Roadhouse rolls in the past. I don't get I'll cook a decent bit more during the off season for obvious reasons. But I made some French toast out of Sissy Schubert's rolls, which are some of the best bread you can get, and they were delicious. And I have some left over, so I'm gonna eat those. We're done here, and then go to sleep.
I may need to DoorDash that if I lose our picks. For those who don't know, we've got a running bet. Whoever does better in the picks, the loser has to DoorDash or Uber Eats a restaurant's food to another restaurant because of something David did last year. He's currently up 7 games on the season. You got Iowa and Notre Dame away from me today.
Yeah.
But I got Oklahoma. And I want to get BYU here.
You're going to get BYU here.
And
I should have just rolled with BYU. I didn't have any good feel for this because I think TCU is really good, but they just don't play very well very often.
Correct.
And BYU, I think, is still slightly overrated, but still a pretty good team. So I didn't have a good feel for this. But BYU at night, I should have just rolled with the 3.5.
The other thing is your wild card missed. You had Florida, Ole Miss.
Yeah, it almost. I was watching. It almost had a spectacular save, and then DJ Lagway couldn't get out of his own 5-yard line, and they picked up a horrific pass interference flag.
So it was 27. So that touchdown at the end from Ole Miss
popped it over. Well, it was 44 points in the first half, and then Florida just didn't score the second half.
Yeah,
Ole Miss gets stuffed at the goal line and doesn't kick a field goal that would have. Well, I guess it would have gotten a half under. Would have had the hook or whatever. Anyway, so then Florida has the ball with 2 minutes left and 1 timeout, and just never got a first down. They
do nothing with it.
Picked it. Yeah, and then Ole Miss scored on their
Ole
first
Miss,
play.
They couldn't quite kneel it out, but they decided to hand it off, and they get it. So that,
yeah.
But I got
it's
mine,
lame.
which is
They're gonna
Penn State minus 6.5 at Michigan State. I got that. So if BYU wins, I will make up 1 game on you in the standings, and that's what I've had to do here. I need to start fading you a bit. It's my only chance to try to come back.
You get a preview of our picks on the show, but sometimes I do flip them. But sometimes I turn them in.
You do all the time. I need you to tell me who you're actually picking before I actually make my pick.
I will say it on the show, but in print, I do flip them sometimes.
I flipped to Pitt, I think, because I knew you were doing Notre Dame, and then I didn't realize
Notre Dame. I've been on all week because listen, when
I know Notre Dame was the right pick, but I have to find places to fade you, and it felt like 12.5 was a place to do it.
Fair. It wasn't.
Did not work.
Covered by a lot.
Yeah. All right. Anything else to talk about college football wise?
It's a fun Saturday. Listen, I think it's amazing. Maybe we want to lead this off Monday's show and talk about it, but part of it is because there's so many games. But we only get 14 or 15 college football Saturdays, and one way or another, every single Saturday delivers. There's a lot of NFL weeks where it's kind of sucks. Some of them are off the chain, but there is. I don't remember the last time there was a college football weekend where something super memorable did not happen. Last week we get the crazy Indiana drive. This week, you have the Texas A&M comeback, the Georgia onside kick. Every week there's 1 or 2 earth-shattering things. And college football, man, another Saturday.
The last 2 years, it feels like we've had more kind of craziness than ever, and it's partly the 12-team playoff, but it's partly that like nobody's really that great.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Ohio State. We had someone jumped in on Twitter here earlier and just said, yeah, just give saying the Heisman and move on. I mean, like maybe we'll see what you do against Michigan and Indiana, and then we'll have an opinion. I just don't have an opinion of Julian Sayin right now, other than he's been really good. But
if he's the reason that they win those 2 games, I'm more than comfortable putting him on my Heisman ballot. He's not there right now because he's just not the reason why.
Yeah,
they are what they are, and I think he's probably the 4th best player on their team, which just doesn't sit well with me. We talk about the Heisman stuff. When you tell me that's the best player in the country, that has to pass the smell test, and it just doesn't with Sayin.
The volatility of college football is what I love about it so much, because the NFL players are too good. Like it all comes down to the margins.
This is why I don't like the NBA. Most of my college friends like the NBA, but like nobody ever misses an open shot. Everybody makes the right decision all the time. Like I like the NBA in the playoffs, but I really don't enjoy the NBA product like at all. It's just I like the college product is way worse. And like I like that also. I like back to the basketball and football, kind of the same thing. Like people do insane things, and it's very
Marcel Reed is addicted to throwing interceptions in the first half, and then he throws for 300 yards in the second half, and it's like that's because he's like 19, 20 years old, and sometimes you're just off. And like that's I tweeted this during that game. I was like, the people who think there's no such thing as momentum in sports, like you don't watch college football, because the entire sport is built around 19-year-olds who completely crumble in the face of pressure sometimes. And you never know who it's going to be and when it's going to happen. And when it happens so hard sometimes. And let's wrap up here with Heisman and top 10s. So we got SSS Johnson. Well, hold on. SSS Johnson.
Texas Tech is trying to get Jacob Rodriguez.
Let me explain this first. SSS says, are there any defensive standouts this year that have a chance of the Heisman? Yes, that would be Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker at Texas Tech, who had a touchdown catch today. So they're trying to do the...
No, he ran it. They snapped it to him.
I thought it was a catch. Was it a run? Okay, maybe it was a run.
They put him in at quarterback. He played quarterback at
I didn't watch
Virginia
any of that game
previously.
It was a blowout. I didn't watch anything about the UCF game. So they put him on offense to get him a score there, and he had an interception. So they're doing. I don't think he's the best defensive player on the team. I think it's David Bailey, but he's kind of having that Manti Te'o like big moments. You have the big splashy moments that stand out, and so I think Heisman right now, a mix of Fernando Mendoza, Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Love, Jacob Rodriguez, Gunnar Stockton. Who else should be in there right now?
I mean, Ty Simpson's going to fall. We'll see. He doesn't have a lot of
Ty Simpson.
He doesn't have. They've got Eastern Illinois, I think, and then Auburn. So nobody's going to care about those games. But if they get to the SEC championship and he throws for 370 or something, then he'll get some votes. It might be hard for him to win it. But I think, I think the Ohio State finish. I do think it probably will be Sayin if they just, win that Michigan game and he looks good, and beat Indiana and he looks good, and they're probably going to be favored to do both of those things. If you could put, if I was a betting man, I think I would put it on Sayin at the moment. But
I think he's the favorite, or I think he is the betting favorite, which is fine. But again, I don't think it really qualifies. I know Nebraska late is trying to make a case for their running back. Who else? A couple of the people have made some Heisman campaigns. I think USF tried to start one for Byron Brown.
Diego
it's like
had the two Turk campaign.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel like a great
bad year for the
Heisman. It's one of those where like Ashton Genty would have won it in any year if he wasn't up against Travis Hunter.
It would not be close. I mean, it would take something earth-shattering in the last 3 weeks of the season to cost Genty the award.
Yeah,
if he did
but
what
like
he did last year this year.
I think those 1, 2, 3, 4. I think those like 5 or 6 guys because they're all on the best teams and they're playing best. Like you could make a case to me that Jeremiah Love is the best player in the country.
Yeah,
and I would buy
yes.
that. I think it hurts that remember the first couple games of Notre Dame, we were saying like, hey, why are they not giving Jeremiah Love the
Well,
ball?
he only got 10
so
touches the first game. The second game, he was. I looked at this today. The second game, he was better than you thought. He did score.
Okay.
He had like 94 yards rushing.
Yeah,
like
but
23
that's
carries. Then he had like 4 catches.
93
like
yards.
25
But 93 yards in a game in which he had 40 points is like, that's where it's like
Yeah.
he hasn't had those like spotlight moments to kind of do something, and he did today, and he did a lot with it, with the spin run touchdown and all that stuff. Jacob Rodriguez had his last week, the BYU game, everybody in town, all that stuff. Mendoza had his with Penn State. Sayin will coming up. We'll probably have Mendoza versus Sayin potentially. Ty Simpson still has a lot to play. So like this really does feel wide open. I feel like it's got to be one of those 5 or 6. Like it's hard to see somebody else coming out of nowhere.
I think it's a year of a lot of defensible ballots.
Yeah.
Like last year, if you didn't have Genty or Turner or Genty or Hunter, like 1 or 2, it's like, what season did you watch? But this year, I think you could vote for a lot of people.
In terms of top 10-ish, this is what I have. I'm likely going to have this on Monday in my rankings. Ohio State 1, number 2 Indiana, 3 Texas A&M, 4 Georgia, moving up ahead of Bama, 5 Texas Tech moves up ahead of Bama and Ole Miss, 6 Ole Miss, 7 Oklahoma, jumping up, 8 Alabama, falling back, 9 Oregon, 10 Miami, 11 Notre Dame. I have Miami over Notre Dame because they beat Notre Dame. I think the teams are similar. The committee doesn't agree, but that's what I have. Is there anything there, Dave, you like really disagree with?
No, you know how much I love rankings.
You do.
That's about right. Yeah.
I think the big question is how far does Bama fall and how far does Oklahoma rise? Does Oregon stay up with the 1-loss teams, or do they get jumped by some of the 2-loss teams?
Yeah,
because that starts to open the door for Oregon, losing a game and missing at 10-2. So we'll see. And then top group of 5 team, I think I'm going to have Tulane because I had them above before. It'll either be Tulane or North Texas, but I'll probably have Tulane right now. But we'll get into that Tuesday live ranking show in between the 2 Champions Classic games, the basketball. So we're back to that. But yeah, otherwise, folks, we please subscribe to the podcast on all those podcast platforms you see on your screen right there, and on YouTube, Bunch Formation. Like the video, subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. We do the show just on ourselves, having a lot of fun. Love doing After Dark because we're not at games. But yeah, man, this has been fun. We'll see if there's any coaches fired on Sunday. But we only got a couple of these left. It was a fun day of college football.
Yeah,
looking forward to 2 more of those. So for David Ubben, I'm Chris Vannini. Thank you for listening. We will be back on Monday.
And we'll bring the turnover chain with us also.